The town of Plainville. Established in 1721 at the geographical center of Connecticut.
You all set, Kathy?
I am, Robert. Do you want to start the work session?
Sure.
Take it away.
Want me to introduce John?
Hi, John. Yes, that's fine. Thank you.
The purpose of the work session is to review the street sidewalks and driveway ordinance as it relates to street openings. John has a short presentation. He's going to go through what we currently do, what we're proposed to change. And most of this is the result of the fact that we're paving a lot of our streets, and it's critical that we have certain procedures in place to make sure that any repairs to those streets get done in a good fashion. It's difficult sometimes to get contractors to fix up a street opening on a road that's in bad shape to begin with. So, but a good street is a little different. We're modeling this after some other communities that surround us. So, with your permission, I'd like to ask John to just go through the PowerPoint. I think Kevin will put it up on this, at least the PowerPoint slides up on the screen. Is that true, Kevin? There we go. Go ahead, John. It's all yours. Unmute yourself, John. Unmute yourself, John. Hold the space bar down. Okay, there you go. Go, John.
Okay, the purpose of this discussion is to make some suggestions on how we can improve the street opening permit process to protect the investment of the street paving that we're currently underway. Next slide, please. Okay, the slide before you has the current process. Basically, a contractor will fill out a simple application form. The general requirements for that form or to get a permit is to have a security bond posted with the town. The minimum bond value is roughly $10,000. They need to provide us some insurance certificates for both liability and workman's comp. And then they provide us a construction plan. The next step is that the town would grant a particular permit, and then the contractor goes out and undertakes the construction activities, whatever they may be. And then the contractor has the responsibility to do the final pavement restoration. During that final pavement restoration, there is some inspection, but the contractor doesn't always complete the work while somebody's watching them. Next slide, please. What we're proposing to do is take the application and divide it into two parts. The first part will be related to a new requirement that we're proposing. That would be to have all contractors that do work in the right of way registered. So there would be a registration form, and on that form you'd have the general information, contact information and that kind of stuff. It would also include the surety bond, which would be a minimum of $10,000 again, but it would also include a cash bond of $2,500. This cash bond would be if you go to the next slide, please. You can see that as part of the registration, we would charge it. We're looking for authorization to be able to charge a registration fee. And you can see that another change would be to have a cash surety in lieu of in addition to the $10,000 or more surety bond. If you can go back one slide, please. We would still have the insurance requirement, and we'd still require a construction plan. If you can go up 2 slides, please. The next. All right. In addition to the new fees in regards to a surety bond, cash bond, we're also requesting that we have the authority to have the contractor prepay a new registration fee. And this new registration fee would be used to fund the town doing the actual installation of the permanent patch. So a contractor would estimate you'd provide us a plan. As part of the application, he would estimate the value and the items that he would need to, or the town would need to do the restoration, and then we would review it, and then we would sign off on it if it was acceptable, or make adjustments if we thought it should be adjusted. The contractor now would be responsible to put in a transitional patch, and the intent of the transitional patch is to last through 1 winter period. And sometime in the following construction season, the town would hire a contractor to come in and do all the patches that were done, or all the utility cuts that were dug during the previous year. So that's kind of in a nutshell where we're going. I know that there was some other information that we provided as part of your package, just to show how we got to where our conclusions. And I don't know if there's any questions in regards to the suggestions that we're proposing.
I just want to point out, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I just want to point out that the point of doing this is that the town will make the permanent repair. In the past, we've left it up to the contractor. It's been very inconsistent. On the good roads, we want to make, on all our roads now, we feel that it's best that if the town does the permanent patch, a lot of times the contractor does the temporary patch. It takes a year and a day to get them to come back and do something that really isn't up to our standard. And sometimes they make the permanent repair when we're not out there because they don't notify us. So we don't really get a good idea of what they're doing. This has been done in other towns right next door to us. And we just feel that with the amount of money that we're putting into our streets, that it's important for us to be able to control the final repair of that particular trench in the street, by and large. This will require a change in the ordinance. If the council is of a mind, we would work with Mike Mastriani to adjust the language. I think some of that you already had in draft form. And then we would bring it back to the council, ask you to make have a public hearing on the ordinance. Do a brief presentation, take comments, and then ask the council to consider approving the ordinance. We'd like to get this put in place as quickly as possible, so that maybe for this particular construction season as we go forward. This
Okay,
would also,
Robert.
go ahead. I was going to also say this would also involve, some work that's done in the town right away on aprons when people are installing their driveways as well. We
So
wouldn't do,
Robert,
go ahead, sorry.
you're proposing to have the public hearing at our next regular meeting, correct? So that we can expedite this? If you would, I mean, we weren't going to ask you to do anything tonight, but if the council is of a mind, you feel relatively comfortable with what we're telling you, yes, if you could add that to the agenda this evening and ask for the public hearing at the next meeting 2 weeks from now, we could go from there. Okay, so we'll add to this meeting to establish a public hearing for May, I don't know.
The April second meeting in April, the April 20th meeting.
Okay. We'll add it.
I was actually
Madam Chair,
going to be out of town that time, so that's been canceled. So I'm available for the 20th of April. So.
Madam Chair.
Yeah.
Could I just ask a couple questions?
Of course.
What do we currently charge for this application?
It's each application, we charge $100.
And that would change to $50.
No, the contractors would have two fees.
Okay.
One yearly fee to register and then a permit fee
Okay.
for each permit.
Okay. And then just the second question, you say this is more in line with what other towns are doing. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, other towns like Bristol and Southington, the town takes responsibility for all final patches and utility cuts.
Okay. Thank you. Those are the two questions I had.
Okay, thanks. Robert, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Doesn't New Britain do the same, John? Doesn't New Britain do the same?
They may. I'm not aware that they do, but they may.
Okay. All right. Sorry, Kathy.
No, I didn't know if there was anything else, and if anybody has any more questions or if there's anything else we should add to this.
We're all set if you are.
I'm good. Everybody else all right?
I'm good.
All set here.
Robert, we have a few minutes before 7 o'clock. Do we need to wait until that time to start our regular meeting?
Yes, I believe you do.
All right. So if we could just have everybody hang out and we will begin promptly at 7.
All right. We'll see you in a little bit.
All right, 7 o'clock.
Okay, is everybody back on board here? We have everyone? Ty? Oh, there you are down in the corner. Well, I'm happy that we were able to get together. Kevin, thank you for all of your ongoing assistance with our technology. It's certainly a big help to all of us. We appreciate all that you've done here. Just to get the meeting going, we had, I do want to make an announcement for those who are listening to our process. And in case anybody wants to know how they can listen or view some of these meetings, I'm going to give some information. There's 2 ways you can submit public comment to the town council. You can email to tcpubliccomments@plainville-ct.gov, or you may leave a voicemail message at 860-793-3256, and you can leave a 3-minute message. For each option, be sure to include and state your name and address. Emails and voicemail messages will be relayed to the town council before or after the meeting, depending on when they are received. Another bit of information regarding our new process. A link to access our meetings in real time via YouTube will be posted on the town website 15 minutes prior to the meeting start time. Please refer to our spotlight section on the home page, www.plainvillect.com, for this information. For audio only participation, dial toll free 888-788-0099 or 877-853-5247, webinar ID 475-600-751. Just a little bit of information for those who are listening or wish to be part of what's going on. All right, just going to continue on with our meeting right now. For this evening, we do not have any presentations. We do not have a public hearing. So I will ask for section 3 to have approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, motion to approve the minutes of March 12, 2020 special meeting, March 16, 2020 special and regular meeting, and March 31st, 2020 special meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion, corrections to those minutes? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Does anybody have any announcements or reports to share tonight? Moving on to appointments and resignations. Do we have any appointments or resignations to share this evening? Okay, on to report of the town attorney. Attorney Mastriani is here to give us some information regarding Governor Lamont's executive order number 71. Attorney Mastriani?
Okay, can you hear me, Kathy?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. I think Robert had printed the guidance document number 2 dated March 31st, 2020. Does everybody have that? Yep, and it
Yes.
details the executive order number 71, which basically suspends the in-person requirements for adoption of the municipal budgets and as well as the mill rates. And it authorizes the legislative body, which is the town council, to set those rates.
Okay, so we're going to take some motion this evening regarding our, regarding that motion. Is that right, Robert? That's on our agenda for under our,
Yes, yes, it's really Executive Order 7I, that's
Obviously, right.
that's
I said
an I.
7.
But anyhow,
Cool.
yes, that order prohibits towns from having, referendums, all-day votes, and/or town meetings to approve the budget. So there is an item under new business that would cancel or remove the all-day vote that was previously set by the council for May 28th.
okay, I hope that's clear. Does anybody have any questions regarding Attorney Mastriani's report or what we're going to be doing this evening regarding the town meeting?
Nope.
I'm getting
Madam
that.
Chair?
Yes, of course.
I do have one more short matter to report on as well. Just wanted to let everybody know that the sale of the IUD tax liens has stalled. Not because the mortgage holder is no longer interested, but because of the impact of the virus and which it had on the court system, that they have requested that the purchase be delayed until the court system is back actively hearing cases. As you are aware, I believe that they're in the process of a foreclosure against IUD and Sons. And that was the purpose of their request. Now, the courts are remaining open right now, but they're only handling emergency matters. And they have not indicated when they will be fully operational. But the best guess is somewhere in the neighborhood of late May to June at the earliest.
Okay, thanks for the update. We appreciate it. Robert, did you want to go through your report? I just have one quick request. When people are speaking during this meeting, for the benefit of those that are just listening to audio, could you just please state your name, that you're the speaker when you begin to make a comment? I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, this is Robert Lee. I'm ready to do the town manager's report. The first item that I have is the LEA White Oak report discussion. We have Sarah Burkholder Sweeney and Sam Butcher from Lorero are attending this meeting to give an update on their report entitled Former White Oak Development Plan. Lorero has completed their environmental study of the White Oak property and will summarize the findings of same. They will also give an update on the September 2019 estimated remediation costs and discuss the next steps. So they have a PowerPoint. I know we shared it with the council ahead of time. I was a little busy in certain areas of that report, but I'm sure that Sarah and Sam will go through it and try to explain what's going on here. And then they'll be available to answer questions at the end. So Sarah, Sam, you guys ready?
Hi, this is Sarah Burkhalter Sweeney. Yes, Robert, we're ready to start whenever you are.
Okay, go ahead. Can you see?
All right, well,
Can you see what's on the screen?
yes, sir, I can.
Okay, go ahead. Just direct when you want it changed.
Absolutely. Well, thank you all for inviting us here tonight. We are hoping everyone is staying healthy. The purpose of this presentation tonight, again, is really to provide an overview of the work we have completed and the results of the investigation, as well as our initial recommendations for next steps. You know, as a quick recap, at the last meeting, we presented 3 conceptual redevelopment plans for the town to evaluate. Each scenario provided some varying combination of recreational, commercial, and retail space. And based on the input of the council and additional environmental investigations, we were able to refine our draft costs associated with the remediation. And we can advance to the next slide, please. So as a refresher, I'm gonna go ahead and spin through these proposed redevelopment plans for you. This was Plan A, showing open space and recreation with some commercial and retail. We utilized most of the existing buildings on West Main Street for commercial and community space, while converting what was once storage for maintenance vehicles into open recreational space, parking, and some areas for venues. Next slide. Redevelopment Plan B, which was selected by the town, focuses on mixed-use commercial and residential concept. Compared to Plan A, the recreation use is reduced, and for this plan, the current buildings are used and/or refurbished, and an urban plaza is developed featuring commercial retail space on the first floor with residential lofts above. We also added parking to accommodate access to downtown activities and the new businesses. Next slide. Redevelopment Plan C is also mixed use commercial residential concept with an emphasis on revitalizing the in-place structures. Similar to Plan A, the recreational green space is well represented. However, unique from the other 2 plans, the on-site Quonset huts are redeveloped and planned for office space and storage and/or parking. This plan also provides 3 additional new buildings for solely residential units, and some additional parking was added for access to downtown and the existing buildings. In the end, as we said before, the town selected Redevelopment Plan B, and this was the residential commercial scenario focused around the urban plaza. Next slide. As I'm sure you recognized when you reviewed these slides, these are a little bit difficult to read at this scale, but this figure that you're looking at now depicts all of the sample locations, both soil and groundwater. As a result of our initial investigation, Lorero identified 18 areas of concern, which are AOCs, and are identified by the black circles. Next slide. Following the phase 2 investigation, we returned to several of these AOCs outlined in red to collect some additional data. This data provides us with information to help refine the nature and extent of contamination found during the phase 2 investigation. As you can see, those AOCs are outlined in red on that figure. Next slide. And on the following slides after this one, I'm going to present the results of our investigation. Because there is a lot of data, I'm going to break this figure down into 3 close-ups as followed. Next slide. This figure shows area 1, 2A, 2B, and 3, which is the box from the lower right in the previous slide. In this slide and all the future slides, the boxes represent sample locations. And for each sample location, we have provided information on the results of laboratory analysis. Again, These are very small. It's very difficult to read. Instead, we provided the boxes in color for you, and the green boxes represent a soil sample that exceeded some cleanup criteria, while a white box indicates a soil sample with contaminants at either non-detectable concentrations or concentrations below cleanup standards. For most of the areas, the original data point is the reason that we return to that area to collect additional samples and would be depicted as a green box on the figure. Our latest investigations intended to delineate the contamination associated with the green boxes, and the end goal is really to make sure that we can get the areas surrounding that original sample depicted as white boxes. And next slide. So this is similar method of showing this data again, except in areas 4 and 5. And this one would be from the top left of the initial slide. And next slide, please. And here is area 6. This box is from the top right from the initial slide. And as you can see, the areas of contamination, which are showed in green for all of these areas, are fairly well defined and enclosed by white or clean sample locations. And next slide. Ultimately, the purpose of this remedial investigation was to determine a range of costs and determine the risks associated with environmental conditions at the site. As part of the Brownfields redevelopment services, Lorero completed remedial cost estimates for each redevelopment scenario. Remedial cost estimates took into account regulatory requirements based on the intended use for each individual redevelopment scenario, as well as several other factors. Coincidentally, the 3 scenarios had very similar high and low end remedial costs. They were frequently between $25,000 to $50,000 plus or minus. So they were all very close. And we were able to refine the high end estimate from about 1.3 million in our September 2019 cost down to approximately 1 million. And this was a result of better confining areas of contamination during our phase 3 investigation. Just to provide you a little bit of background, some examples of factors that can impact the cost of remediation include the extent to which we're able to reuse some of that soil that is contaminated. If we're able to reuse it under buildings or parking lots, it tends to be a little bit less expensive than if we have to remove the soil and take it off site. And also something that Robert had mentioned last time, our scenarios are based on having to take that soil off site to a landfill or other similar type of facility, whereas maybe we can have some reduction in cost if we took it to Phoenix, right across the way there. So next slide. So in addition to the slides you've been provided tonight, you should have also been provided with a flyer outlining the Connecticut Brownfields program. This document provides a generalized process or approach towards redevelopment of a brownfield site, including a summary of some of the primary Connecticut brownfield programs. With investigations completed at the site, it is our understanding the town has received responses to an RFP for legal counsel. Environmental lawyers primarily support their clients in making appropriate legal determination on if the site in question is classified as an establishment under the Transfer Act. And the Transfer Act is a Connecticut regulation applying to certain current and historical businesses performing a specific set of operations. And sites identified as establishments are often regulated under a different set of rules and may have some different implications. You know, following the termination for this property, the town, DEEP, and the legal counsel would identify the best program for liability relief for the town in support of their purchase, and then it would be purchase and redevelopment of the White Oak facility. And now we will be happy to take any questions from you.
Kathy, before we go to questions, could I make a few comments first? Is that okay?
Yes, please do.
Okay, this is Robert Lee. The plan from the start and the agreement that we have with the Tofflon, Mrs. Tofflon, is that the town would be able to acquire the property for the value of the back taxes. So no monies would exchange hands with regards to this transfer. The next step is, and we're in the process of engaging an environmental attorney who is a specialist with the Transfer Act. And you know, with this report, we're getting pretty close to recommending that the town council, you know, vote to acquire the property. The attorney would be able to advise the council, the town council, on, you know, the potential liabilities with respect to this property, which I believe based upon my knowledge, that'd be very minimal because, you know, we didn't cause the contamination. By acquiring the property, it puts us in a better position to be able to gain access potentially to grants that would allow us to, you know, clean up the property, or would put us in a position at that point in time to perhaps turn the property over to somebody else who would carry forward any cleanup costs, any cleanup of the property. And that would most likely be based upon how they develop the property. Not, you know, for example, if they put hard surfaces or buildings over the contaminated areas, there's a good chance they wouldn't have to remove any of that. That would, you know, the cost would be somewhat minimal if they're putting, you know, a solid type surface over, you know, those you know, contaminated areas that were shown in previous slides. So the environmental attorney would be paid for through the grant. We did a solicitation several weeks ago. We received two proposals. We're recommending, you know, the hiring of the, you know, the low bidder, so to speak. We're running that through DECD to see if they concur with our recommendation, and we would bring that attorney to a council meeting and do a little different presentation with regards to the responsibilities of the town with respect to this environmental situation should the town acquire the property. So you know, so we expect that to move forward in a relatively, you know, over the next, you know, month or two as far as that's concerned. So, you know, tonight is to give you a feeling of you know, at least the specifics of what Lorero looked at. It's been a somewhat long process, but we are, you know, coming to the end, towards the end of it. You know, and so we're starting that, you know, starting to see the end of the road, hopefully, with regards to this this property, at least to get it started down the road of some type of development. That's really all I had to say, unless, you know, so we're available for questions.
Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the presentation? Thank you, Sarah, for being part of our discussion this evening. So are there any questions or comments at this point? Okay, I take that as a no. So Robert, I expect we will continue with the next steps in order to keep this project moving forward. Is that your plan?
Yes, we would probably bring the environmental attorney in, perhaps at the next meeting, certainly the first meeting in May. We have a timeline with Mrs. Tofflon as far as, you know, our agreement is concerned. And I know we've extended it a couple of times because of the study. So, you know, she's anxious to resolve this issue as well. Mike, is there anything you wanted to add? Because I know you've been a part of that as well.
No, not this time.
Okay.
Okay, if there are no further questions or comments regarding this portion, again, thank you to the representatives from Lorero for being part of this. We appreciate that. I'm sure we'll be in touch in sometime in the near future. Robert, did you want to move on to the next section of your report regarding the road bond, pavement, and milling?
I do. And Kevin, could you put the rest of my notes up there and just kind of, change them as I worked my way down if you could scroll down, I'm going to be talking about the road bond pavement milling. Town staff is recommending that the town council award a bid to Garrity Construction of Bloomfield for pavement milling services. Garrity has done this work in town for several years and has agreed to hold their price to the same rates that they have charged for the last 2 years. The monies for this work will come from the road bond program, and there is an item under new business regarding this recommendation. I don't know if anybody has any questions with regards to that. Okay, the next item I have is Governor Lamont's Executive Order 7S. Last week, Governor Ned Lamont issued Executive Order 7S entitled Property Tax Deferral. This order requires municipalities to participate in one or both programs regarding tax deferrals. The first program authorizes the town to, quote, provide property tax deferment to eligible residents, businesses, nonprofits, and other eligible taxpayers, a 90-day deferment of any taxes on real property, personal property, or motor vehicles. This includes sewer user charges as well. To be eligible, taxpayers must attest to or document significant economic impact by COVID-19. The second program authorizes the town to charge an interest rate of 3% per annum for any delinquent portion of the principal of any taxes on real property, personal property, or motor vehicles, including sewer user charges, for 90 days from the time when it becomes due and payable until the same is paid. Following the 90 days, the portion that remains delinquent shall be subject to interest and penalties as previously established, which is 18%, on the principal portion of the taxes owed. Following, let's see, there is no eligibility requirement for the low interest rate program. Financial institutions and mortgage services that hold property tax payments in escrow on behalf of the borrower shall continue to remit property taxes to the municipality. And my understanding is that's probably about, at least for people who have mortgages, that makes up probably about 65 or 70% of the actual monies we get from homeowners is through these mortgage services or financial institutions. Towns must notify the Secretary of the Office of Policy and Management with programs that they are electing to participate by April 25th, 2020. This evening, I did receive an email from OPM. I did forward that to the town council members late this afternoon, if not early evening. And it gives a little bit more detail as to the program. What I'd like to do is we're not asking the town council to take any action this evening. We're just but we have to make a decision by our next meeting, or at least by April 25th. Between now and 2 weeks from now, town staff will analyze the documents that were sent to us that speaks more specifically about how this would operate, and then be in a better position to make a recommendation and to answer questions that the town council may have about this new requirement that came down from the governor's office. So if anybody has any questions with regards to Executive Order 7S at this point in time, certainly we would try to answer them for you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
this is Christopher Wazorko. I'd just like to ask, regardless which program we chose after that 90 days, the interest and penalties would go back to the established 18%.
For any of the unpaid portion, yes,
And that does it for either program.
that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
And if somebody owes delinquent taxes right now, that delinquent taxes would continue at the 18%. So it's only the current taxes.
Okay.
That's my
Thank you.
understanding. Yep.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead.
Mike Mastriani. I just wanted to add also that I noticed that several towns are adopting the deferment program, but extending it to everyone so that they eliminate any subjective eligibility determinations.
Hmm.
So that's a thought as well.
Yeah, the concern with that is depending upon whether you do the second portion of that, because if people can defer paying their taxes for 90 days, why wouldn't you do it even if you could afford it, so keep that in mind as far as cash flow is concerned.
Any other comments or questions for the town manager regarding his report tonight?
I was going to go to happening, so as well, so
Oh, sure.
we'll put those up on the screen as well. The 2020 census is live. According to the latest update, which was today, Plainville has reached 51.7% self-response rate. The U.S. Census Bureau has made some operational adjustments due to COVID-19, particularly non-response follow-up, aka door knocking, will be delayed 2 weeks, now scheduled to start May 28th. In the meantime, the public is strongly encouraged to respond online at www.2020census.gov. College students who normally live at school should still be counted at school, even if they are home or temporarily living somewhere else due to the pandemic. They do have a brief video which explains why it is important to be counted in the right place. And you see that YouTube link, which we'll also put online as well, with regards to the census. So we're doing a little bit better than the state average as far as self-response. It's not all that difficult to go online and complete the census. And unfortunately, we had some computers available at the senior center and at the library that people who perhaps do not have easy access to a computer could go on and do the census there. Unfortunately, those are not available at this point in time. We even had one available at the municipal center. So perhaps when the buildings are open back up, that will help. People can always go online and fill out the 2020 census until somebody comes and knocks on your door. So the next item I have is the water pollution control. The phosphorus removal equipment is up and running 3 months ahead of schedule, and the town is currently well below our permit limit. So it appears as if the system is working properly. Our permit limit is 0.1 to 0.2 milligrams per liter, and our current discharge is half of the low limit. So that's good news as far as the operation of the system is concerned. With regards to tax and assessing, the second installment of the sewer bills is due May 1st and will be delinquent after June 1st, 2020. And I guess a lot of that will depend on the deferment program that you may decide to participate in your next meeting. Tax bills can be mailed in, paid online, or dropped in the lockbox in the parking lot between the stairs. And there's a web address for online payments that people can make as well. The Plainville Library has suspended their curbside delivery. Items on hold will be kept aside until normal operations resume. No library items will accrue fines until the library reopens. At this time, there is no target date for the reopening of the library. And I will tell you, I had a conversation with Trish Tomlinson, about this. A lot of other libraries, and I think I shared the email with the town council. A lot of other libraries were not providing the curbside pickup, and the word got out that Plainville was still doing it, so we were getting inundated with not only Plainville residents but out-of-town residents who were, taking advantage of the fact that you could pick up a book at the library. So we just there was a lot of demand for it, and unfortunately, the staff really couldn't keep up with what was going on as far as that's concerned. So they ended that, for the time being. With regards to the senior center, although the senior center is closed for program and activity, staff is available by phone at 860-747-5728 during regular business hours. The Senior Center social worker is available by phone for questions or concerns about Medicare, financial assistance, caregiving issues, and more. Foot care and earwax appointments are still available, and that's by appointment. Dial-A-Ride is available for non-emergency medical appointments. You cannot be sick, have a cough or a fever, and it is available for groceries, pharmacy, and the bank. I will point out that the transfer station was open on Saturday. I did stop down and visit with the staff down there. Dominic was there and some of his staff. There was a steady stream coming in, but it really didn't get backed up, at least for the 45 minutes that I was there. If we don't get swamped, try to keep it open if things get spaced out. So, as long as everybody, can stay, in their cars. We're only allowing one car in to dump at a time. Staff is wearing gloves and they have, face masks as well. So that seemed to work out pretty good. And our bulky waste collection, the call in on demand service, that's going to start on the 20th of April, I believe it is. So people can begin to make appointments. CWPM is, you can get on the list with CWPM. So that's all I have to report this evening. It's certainly available to any questions that you may have for me.
This is Kathy speaking. Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the town manager's report tonight? Okay, thank you, Robert. Thank you for all the work that you did to put this together for us this evening.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We are now in the public comment section of our meeting. At this point in time, we are not going to be taking public comment over the phone just until we can get adjusted to how we're going to conduct these meetings. I will, however, make note that we did receive an email from John Kislick this afternoon. And we also received a voicemail, which was transcribed into an email from Roberta Loria. All of the council members have been copied on these items, and we do have them for our records. So at this point in time, this is how we'll proceed. If anybody wishes to leave a voice message or they want to write an email to the town council, they'll be delivered to us. If anything requires any follow-up, we'll certainly make sure we get back to the writer. So if that's an agreement with everybody else, I think for the time being, this is how we'll proceed. All right, I'm getting a lot of nods, so I'm going to go with that thought. We don't have any old business on the agenda, but right now I'd like to ask for a motion to add under our new business to establish a public hearing for April 20th for the ordinance regarding streets, sidewalks, and driveways, particularly street openings. So may I have a motion to add that to our new business?
Madam Chair,
Chris?
Christopher Wazorko, I move that motion.
Madam Chair,
Deb?
Tompkins, I second that.
Okay, thank you both. I have a motion and I have a second to add that item to our agenda. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor, aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much for that. We'll move into our new business section. What I'm going to do this evening is I'll read the motions and then I'll ask somebody to make it, and then I need a second. I don't know if everybody has all of these motions in specific detail, but I will, I'll read them off and then I'll ask somebody to move the motion. Then I'll ask for a second and comments. All right. Number one, motion to establish a public hearing on Monday, May 18th, 2020 at 7 p.m. to hear public comment on applications regarding the 2020 Neighborhood Assistance Act. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Deb Tompkins. So moved.
Second. Christopher Wazorko.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Are there any discussion or questions on the motion?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, motion to adopt a resolution entitled Fair Housing Resolution. We have a motion.
Madam Chair, so
Chair.
moved. Deb Tompkins.
Jesse Nazzo, second.
I have a second. Okay, any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Number 3, motion to reappoint Town Manager Robert E. Lee as the Fair Housing Officer and authorize him to sign and implement the Fair Housing Statement. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Christopher Wazorko, so moved.
Madam
Second.
Chair, Deb Tompkins, second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any comment or question on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Number 4, motion to authorize town manager to sign and implement the Title VI Equal Opportunity Statement. I have a motion.
Madam Chair, Deb Tompkins, so moved.
Madam Chair, Dave Underwood, second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Lost my place here, sorry. Number 5, motion to waive the bid process and award bid number 2020-11B, pavement milling to Garrity Construction, Bloomfield, Connecticut, for an amount not to exceed $125,000. May I have a motion?
Madam
Madam Chair,
Oh, go ahead.
Rosemary Moranti, so moved.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, second, Christopher Wazorko.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next item is motion to cancel the all-day vote, the town meeting of May 28th, 2020, per Governor Lamont's Executive Order 77I, issued March 21st, 2020. May I have a motion?
Madam Chair, Deb Tompkins, so moved.
Second?
Madam Chair, Dave Underwood, second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, Rosemary Moranti. Just for the public's information, I thought it might be worthwhile to mention that we had also scheduled a public hearing prior to that, and that I think we can assume it's not going to be the conventional public hearing, but there will be opportunity for the public to give input and comment, even though the vote itself will not take place.
Yes, thank you. That is correct. I believe we may be scheduling a public hearing for May 4th. That could change, but at this point, that is a potential date for the public hearing. Okay. We have our final motion to establish a public hearing for April 20th for the ordinance concerning street opening, streets, sidewalks, and driveway ordinance for street.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yeah. Mhm.
Madam Chair, I think we still just need to vote on the all-day vote motion.
I'm
I don't
sorry,
think we
you're
actually
right.
voted.
I didn't mean to skip through that.
No, that's all right.
Yep. All those in favor of motion to cancel the all-day vote?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you for that. And now we are at the last motion, which we just added to our agenda regarding the public hearing for April 20th for the ordinance regarding streets, sidewalks, and driveways. I have a motion to approve.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Christopher Wazorko, so moved.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Deborah Tompkins, second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on that motion? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. We also had I'm not sure that we're going to do anything with this tonight, but some possible action regarding the 2021 budget or parts thereof. Is there any interest in doing anything with that tonight? We do have a work session scheduled for tomorrow evening at 6:30. I don't know if our town manager has any additional information you'd like to share with us right now, or shall we wait until tomorrow where we're going to reconvene again?
I would like to give you an update on where I stand as far as a recommendation, and certainly we give you some things to think about going into tomorrow evening's meeting. And I did have a couple of slides that was going to put up, that Kevin was going to put up. As you may recall, as a result of a little bit of difficulties we had with our last meeting when we were discussing, some of these items, I think I was on the, you'll see at the top, the right-hand column, the April 6th proposed changes. I made some adjustments to that. I'd gone through the building permits, and on the expenditure side, discovered that the amount of money that we were carrying for the BOE health insurance savings of $145,000 was incorrect. It actually ended up being $83,410. The mistake was made when, if you add those two numbers up, it adds up the town health insurance savings and the Board of Education health insurance savings. Those total $145,000, and the $145,000 was the total between both of them, not necessarily for the Board of Education. So rather than having a $146,000 decrease, it's really an $83,000 increase. You can see that from the March 16th, update. I am recommending that at this point in time that the town council consider lowering the CIP contribution by $100,000 from $800,000 to $700,000. What that would do is not necessarily recommend that you lower the CIP budget, because you may want to consider using unassigned fund balance to make up that difference. But so I'm not necessarily recommending that you eliminate any particular CIP items, although you certainly can consider that as we go through the work session, but that we at least decrease the amount, given the COVID-19, issues and trying to get the budget as low as possible, that perhaps lowering the CIP contribution by $100,000, would be considered by the council. The bottom line, when you make those two changes, as well as the other changes that you see on this sheet that you had previously reviewed, that would make the mill increase 0.27, or an increase of 0.78% increase in taxes. With regards to the average tax increase, and Kevin, if you could scroll down a little bit on that. Right there. The average tax increase would be for somebody that's paying somewhere around $3,750 in taxes a year. I think it was $4,750 a year. The average tax increase would be $37.85, which is about $56 less than the original budget, or almost 60% less than what was proposed at the 1st of March. For the average condo owner, this budget would represent an increase in taxes of $26.26, which is a decrease of almost $40 from the early March presentation about 1 month ago. And again, it's about a 60% decrease from what was proposed at the beginning of March. So I think these changes are a reflection of, just the economic conditions that, we're in right now. If you go to the next page, Kevin. So this is the April 6th proposed budget with the adjustments. What you see is overall, and I'll try to, the updated budget reduces the total expenditures from basically $1.33 million to $1,087,000, which is represents an increase of 1.76% overall. The updated budget reduces the net expenditure increase. The net expenditure increase, that's when you take into account new revenue and expenditures or additional revenues, from $935,000 to $369,000. So it substantially reduces the net increase, and that's really what the tax increase represents, that raising that $369,000 in revenues. Updated tax rate increase is again 0.27% or 0.78% increase in taxes. So it's 0.27 mils or 0.78%. The proposed mill rate has been reduced by somewhere in the area of 56, 57% from what was original. And we talked about the average property owner and the average condominium owner. And the bottom line is to attain a 0 mil increase or any combination, to attain a 0 mil increase, any combination of expenditure decreases or revenue increases totaling $369,682 would be needed. Just want to go to something else I have here. Steve LePage, Superintendent of Schools, has indicated that the fiscal year 20 budget, the current budget, is anticipating savings due to the closing of schools for the rest of the year. And he's currently estimating that savings to be somewhere around $400,000. He also indicated that all or part of it could be used to prepay busing for fiscal year 21. It should be pointed out, and this is important, that this would result in a fiscal year 22 education budget increasing by $400,000 or part of before any other new expenditures. And that would be if we prepaid something this year, that expenditure is still going to be there next year. So before, the budget was started for fiscal year 22, we would have we would be in the hole by $400,000. So next year's Board of Ed budget would automatically have to increase by $400,000. And this represents about a 1% increase in their budget. So, if their normal increase was say 2%, next year it would be 3% if you chose to go in that direction. And then certainly that's a policy decision to be determined by the town council. Does anybody have any questions about at least this portion of the update?
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead, Rose.
Rosemary Moranti. Robert, I think it was just a little clerical or type of thing. Back on the first page, the last column on the right. Okay, where it says difference 316 to 331.
Yes.
Should that 331 be 46 or?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And that was a date, just by the way. That's a date for those who may be listening on the phone.
Mhm.
I'll send copies of that to the town council as well, so you'll have
Good. Great.
You could look at it.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have any questions regarding Robert's additional information regarding our budget thinking here?
Rob, is there anything you wanted to add? Rob Buden, was there anything you wanted to add, Rob? Since we have him on. You have to unmute Rob. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Rob Buden. No, all of Robert's numbers tie out and agree. So all the numbers you see in front of you would work if we were to go this route.
Yeah, Rob and I aren't having as many face-to-face meetings nowadays lately, so we're managing.
Yeah, I mean everything's working out well. There, the budget numbers are in good shape depending on what you want to do, and once you as a town council finalize something, we'll be ready to go.
We did read that there was supposed to be a bond commission meeting this week to approve the Town Aid Road and the LOSIP monies that we've been waiting for since July 1st. It may actually occur, so I think they're going to do a phone-in meeting for that as well. So that'll be interesting to see.
Madam Chair?
Yes, go ahead.
Jesse Nazzo, Robert and Rob, question for you. I'm assuming we still don't have updated numbers yet on health insurance costs.
Well, we do not, and things change very quickly, almost daily. What we were told late last week was that the state was planning on changing the administration of the state partnership plan. The administration is currently done by Oxford or United Healthcare, and their plan was to switch that over to Anthem. I guess there was some cost savings related to that, and that was the reason why they were doing it. And that was supposed to occur on July 1st. We were informed last week that it was going to be that transition was actually going to occur on October 1st instead of July 1st. And that as a result, the current rates that we're paying for health insurance will remain the same until at least October 1st. That's good news. The bad news is that, that will give them more time to, I guess, assess the impact of COVID-19 and that the increase that they gave us, the estimated increase that they gave us not too long ago, which was 3.5%, may get adjusted in an upwards direction. It's possible that we could have no increase to October 1st, and then if say the increase was 5% instead of 3.5%, that would pretty much eat up the savings that would occur in the first 3 months over the next 9 months. Rob did a little bit of analysis on that and determined that would lower our savings that we had originally projected by about $20,000 if the increase, the overall, if the increase was 5%. Certainly, if the increase was higher than that, the estimated savings that we showed you earlier would be even less than the 20,000. We just based that on just a hypothetical 5% increase. So certainly, if it stayed at 3.5%, we would have additional savings beyond what we have projected this year. So the long and the short of it is, no, we don't have updated numbers, and it's getting more complicated the further we go out.
That was where I was going with this, as this continues to drag on. And I don't mean the current situation of the country, but waiting for numbers. It's just giving them more and more opportunity to reassess what the cost of healthcare is going to be. And I got to imagine right now it's skyrocketing out of control. So my concern there is budgeting a 3.5% increase of the wise thing at this point. And then two, if it is pushed to October, I mean, I got to think is 5% even safe at that point? Are they going to continue to raise the number because we'll have more data to go off of and say this is what our actuals were? And we spent more in the last 3 months of the fiscal year than we did in the first 9 months of the fiscal year. So I do have some real concerns about cutting that insurance line too close. I'm sure you and Rob have thoughts on that, and but unfortunately, none of us have ever been through anything like this. I guess if any of us were alive in 1918, we might have had some idea, but healthcare might have been free then, so I'm not sure. But that is one of my biggest concerns with trying to set this number at this point.
Yeah, I would point out, and that's a good observation. But I would point out that a lot of elective surgeries have been put off, and that, so there are people who are not getting surgeries that they would normally get as well. So while you're getting more expense on one end, you may be getting less expense on the other end. Being able to predict what type of impact that would have on the overall, changes in the rates is a lot of moving parts.
Robert, I know you spend a lot of time speaking with your counterparts. Any idea what other municipalities are doing as far as this?
I haven't lately because we haven't had any meetings, but I certainly can do a little bit of a survey to see what they're doing. Yes, at least for those towns that are in this partnership plan.
Thank you very much.
Rob, perhaps
Madam Chair.
Perhaps we
Yes,
can have Tim get us that information, Rob. But go ahead, sorry.
No, this is Christopher Wazorko. Just a quick follow-up. Say Tuesday or Thursday night, we do finalize a budget, and sometime before we have the public hearing on May 4th, some of these numbers become clearer. And this might be a question for Mike Mastriani, but I know, would we have to come back and, I guess, reapprove a budget if we had to make any changes before the public hearing?
No, you can make changes after the public hearing. You can
Okay.
make changes after the public hearing.
Well, what I'm saying is if we find out that, we're at, instead of 5%, we're at 6%, and we actually, to make things even or make the budget work, we should actually add money back into budget, so to speak. Or in this example, you know, can we adjust the budget before we get to a public hearing, I guess is what I'm saying is, how much lead time do we need to make any changes to the budget?
Well, we have to publish a notice, so many days in advance. I think it's 5 days in advance of the public hearing. And we need a little bit of a lead time to be able to get that, that in there.
Yeah.
So, I would say that, if we publish it 5 days in advance, that would certainly give us, a little bit more time to make an
Okay.
adjustment if it was necessary.
Yeah, so
Again-
we're looking at like the week of April 20th then is our absolute last chance to make any changes before the public hearing.
Yes, and let's say you were going to make let's say that you got some update, for example, the session ends on May 5th, legislative session. There's some discussion that they may not even go back into session before May 5th. They may not even meet before May 5th again, but if let's say we got an update on May 4th or May 5th, or, after the public hearing, and it was serious enough, the council could, have a second public hearing later on in May, as well to take comments if you felt it materially changed the budget significantly and wanted to get some feedback on that as well. So you could have more than one public hearing on the budget if you chose to do so. We were just asking that the council, perhaps have it all completed 100%, but by maybe June 1st, so we can get the bills out by July 1st.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions regarding Robert's additional information tonight? Okay, Robert, and to you, Rob, as well. Thank you for the updates. I know everything is, there's so many moving parts from so many different angles that this budget is going to be anybody's best guess with all the information we have at that moment in time when we decide to finalize it. So it makes it'll be different than we're used to. That's a certainty. So having said that, is everybody all set for tomorrow evening at 6:30 to continue on our budget?
Yes.
Yes.
That takes care of our new business and Robert's report and update regarding the budget. Robert, do you have any other discussions of interest you'd like to add tonight?
I do not.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
This is Christopher Wazorko. Do we just have the tax refunds left to vote on? Or did we do those and I missed them?
I'm sorry. Nope. I went right past that and I didn't see any.
Yeah, I think there's one, believe it or not. I think there's
You're
only
right,
one
there
on the
was one.
list.
All right. May I have a motion to approve the tax refunds as listed on the addendum?
Madam
Madam
Chair,
Chair. Oh, go ahead, Deb.
Deborah Tompkins, so moved.
Second, Christopher Wazorko.
Great. I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on those motions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We do not have an executive session this evening, so I will ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
Madam Chair, Deborah Tompkins, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Thank you all.
See you tomorrow night.
Have a good night.